But first, a Talking Points memo. Have illegal drugs harmed your family? According to the U.S. Department of Health, more than 38,000 people died from drug overdoses in the USA in 2010, the last statistics available. The Department of Health also says about 22 million Americans ages 12 or older need treatment for substance abuse in this country. 22 million. Yet many on the left are demanding softer drug laws. They don't believe that selling hard narcotics causes enough damage to be classified as a violent crime. That in itself is hard to believe. Another radical left position. Drugs like cocaine, meth, heroin, and other opiates kill people, lots of people. And the pushers who sell them are partially responsible for those deaths. That is violence, is it not? Yet a bunch of celebrities like Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx, Jim Carrey, Will Smith, Mark Wahlberg, and Kim Kardashian, also LL Cool J, have signed a letter to President Obama that says, quote, Mr. President, it's evident that you have demonstrated a commitment to pursue alternatives to the enforcement-only war on drugs approach and address the increased incarceration rates for non-violent crimes. The greatest victims of the prison industrial complex are our nation's children. Hundreds of thousands of children have lost a parent to long prison sentences for non-violent drug offenses, leaving those children to fend for themselves, unquote. Completely absurd and misguided in the extreme. Now, we directed a very simple question to Will Smith, Mark Wahlberg, Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx, and Jim Carrey. Do you believe that selling hard drugs is not a violent crime? Yes or no? None of them would answer the question. None of them. No surprise. They'll grandstand an issue like that, but they won't seriously debate it. Now, here's why these people don't know what they're talking about. Since America began punishing drug dealers harshly about 1979, violent crime in the country has dropped more than 32%. Since America began putting crack cocaine dealers in prison for long stretches, cocaine use has dropped more than 71%. These pinheads talk about a, quote, prison industrial complex. Well, who's in the prisons? Terrible people. That's who. And sadly, terrible people do have children. But can you imagine being a child in the home of a heroin dealer? Wouldn't that be nice? Want more? 48% of federal prison inmates in this country are serving time for drug offenses, almost half. But just 13% are in prison because of marijuana. And virtually all of them are major weight dealers. So this isn't the feds kicking in the door of somebody smoking reefer in a living room. That's what the left wants you to believe, but that's false. By putting hard drug dealers in prison, authorities have made all Americans safer. The huge drop in violent crime is mostly because the bad guys are no longer on the streets. Every criminologist knows most street crime and many murders are committed by drug-involved people. The Hollywood people don't know that because they have no clue what goes on in these precincts. The left-wing loons who tell you that selling hard drugs is not a violent crime are hurting all of us. Ask any American whose son or daughter is in the cemetery because somebody sold them narcotics. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. With us, the co-host of The Five, Bob Beckel. And you say?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm a recovering drug addict myself and have been in these prisons. I've taken meetings to these prisons. I've lost people. I've been on those streets. I've seen them and I bought it. And I've seen people, friends of mine, who've died as a result of it.
That's cocaine, right?
Cocaine, yes.
Okay.
You know, by the grace of God, I've done 11 years without it, or alcohol. But there are a lot of people out there who desperately need help. One of the problems I have with this is hard drug dealers, weight dealers, as you point out, ought to be incarcerated for a long time. And yes, it has cut down the amount of selling on the streets, but there are people in federal prisons who are selling small amounts of drugs repeatedly and get themselves into prison. The problem I've got with that is you put them in there, they're going to come out as they're hardened drug addicts when they come in. They'll come out hardened drug dealers.
Can I correct you?
Sure.
All right, this is federal data distributed by the White House.
Right, I
their guy,
understand.
President Obama. 99.8% of federal prisoners sentenced for drug offenses, 99.8, are incarcerated for drug trafficking. Okay? Trafficking, not a reefer, not a bag, a one or two. trafficking.
Yeah, but their definition of trafficking, first of all, they don't. I don't think they know what they're talking about.
To do a federal stretch, you can't sell on a local street. That's a state beef. All right, you've got to move it across state lines to do a federal thing.
That's correct. And there's a lot of people who've been picked up.
So you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. And
You are. You
this
just
is a topic
said
that I know something about.
No.
All right?
You're wrong.
No, wait a minute.
This is a federal beef.
It is. And if you take it, you use marijuana in Arizona and you live in New York.
That's a state beef.
No.
These people want federal mandatories down.
If you carry 5 grams of cocaine across the Arizona border, you're in a federal situation. That is not a heavy drug dealer.
That's not who's in jail. 99.8. 99.8. Trafficking.
Well, that's trafficking.
No, that's not. That's possession.
If you take an ounce of
possession.
If you take an ounce of cocaine and you cross a border, they're going to
possession.
Anything above 5 grams is considered to be dealing.
They'll plea it down, and you know it.
Well, that's you don't. This is what you don't know. This
bottom line: dealing heroin, meth, cocaine, nonviolent crime.
To certain people, it is. Most people,
it isn't.
To me, it is violent crime to an extent. There are people who are dealing this stuff to keep their habits up that have no right to be in mental. They have no right to be in federal prison.
So you can kill my kid because you're addicted.
These are not the people killing your kid.
Sure, they can. You OD on what they sell.
Listen, I have seen a lot of people OD, and a lot of
and who sold it to them?
People who are selling small amounts of these drugs.
And that's not a nonviolent action?
I don't think it's a nonviolent action when they're put in jail for repeated use and some trafficking. And frankly, I'm getting a little tired of people talking about this who have not experienced it.
All right. Bob Beckel, everybody.